Good morning, church. Thank you for joining us for our daily Devo. Today we're in Psalms chapter 46. In Psalms 46:1, the psalmist says this: God is our refuge and our strength, always ready to help us in times of trouble. I want to focus on that first verse and just what the psalmist is trying to say. He's saying that God is our refuge and strength. The word refuge there, the Hebrew word is massa, and it's used for finding shelter or protection. It's used 9 times in Psalms of God being a refuge or protection. It's used other places in the Old Testament, and it's used sometimes as a shelter from rain, as a shelter from wind, but even as a shelter from an enemy. The idea is a place that you can go and you can be in total protection. The psalmist here uses a little hyperbole of saying, hey, if the mountains crumble, if there's earthquakes and the mountains crumble into the sea, if the sea surges up into the land, don't worry, God is your strength, God is your refuge. Now, I know living here in North Alabama, we don't have a lot of earthquakes. We don't worry about the sea surging up, but one thing we do have is tornadoes. Now, I grew up in a house in which my dad wanted us to be safe, and if it was a bad tornado, he might have us under the kitchen table, but he wasn't going to invest in a storm shelter. and so at this time, I've pretty much grown up with that, and so if something happens here, we will hunker down in a hall, but we tend to be in our home, which we don't have a storm shelter, just to keep us protected. We watch the radar, we watch the weather, we watch those predictions. But I remember on April the 11th, 2011. You probably remember that day. It's one of those days in which the storm center predicted there'd be a lot of tornadoes in North Alabama, and it kind of got bad quick. And we saw as the storms were coming from the south how Tuscaloosa was hit, then Birmingham. So it was one of those times with my family in which I was looking for a stronger shelter than our hallway. And so we actually came down to one of the houses that has a partial basement at Willowbrook. We went into there, and I remember being there with our whole family, and just the feeling when we walked into that room of just security, just that feeling of, hey, we're okay now. If something hits, we're going to be in a place of refuge. We're going to be in a place of strength. And that's what David's trying to say. No matter what you're facing, know God is there, that He can be your refuge. He can be your strength. So if I was going to use the Steve Lacy Amplified Version, I would probably say verse 1 in this way: God is our refuge and our strength. He is our storm shelter when the storms of life come our way. A very safe place in a time of trouble. He is our safety. And I guess I'd say that because not in the way of painting that if you're a Christian, nothing bad will happen. But if you're a believer, no matter what you face, God is there and He cares. And for the believers, we have the ultimate safety, because guess what? Our life is not built on the here and now. We know for us this life is temporary. We know for us that to leave this life is not a demotion, it is a promotion. So no matter what we're facing, we can have the absolute assurance that God can protect us, God can give us the power to go through it. And you know what? If we face the worst thing in this life, the worst it means to be with God forever. So no matter what you're facing, understand God is your refuge, God is your strength, and trust in Him. Find your strength in Him. Find your security in Him. I hope you guys have a great day. Thank you again for joining us for our Daily Devo.